Welcome Sainers, welcome to the 2023 season review. Taking a bit of time to give it a think after the loss a couple of weeks ago. Prelim finals are done, congrats to Collingwood and Brizzy. That's going to be a good game next week, but 2023 as a whole for our footy club was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing. You know, it kicked off with Ross Lyon's first game against Fremantle in round 1. We kicked it off with the first 4 wins of the season, playing in match of the round in round 5. You know, we had our slumps, we had our form slumps. We found a way out of those. We saw some youngsters blossom like we haven't seen since the early 2000s. We had belief again. We went to the footy and we had an idea of what we were going to see, what we could expect from the troops when they ran out, which was, to me, one of the best feelings of the season, was that I could really trust what we were trying to do. We might not always get the W. You know, there were games where I thought we played well, but we lost, and you can live with that. But I just had a feeling that there was a plan, there was a structure, there was a vision. And that's the club as a whole now, I think, off the back of this season, is that we do have a clear path. We have a clear vision for what lies ahead in 2024 and beyond. But 2023 was so important for us to get right. And we didn't win the ultimate. So on that note, some people will say, yep, that's a failure. But on other notes, we needed a year like this to really set ourselves up for the future. We had injuries. We had to bring in players in the off-season that we didn't think we'd need. And they played the majority of the season. We had the youngest player in the AFL play every single game this season. We had a player that was a strong favourite for the Rising Star. We've got 2 All-Australians. And the best part is we defied expectations from the outside AFL world. No one expected us to do what we did, but we did it. So, in that, a big tick. As a club, as a fan base, I don't think we've ever felt more united in the last 15 years than what we felt this year at the football. And we'll talk about a few moments like that really jumped out to me throughout the season. But I've never felt more connected with other St Kilda supporters. I've never felt more belief, in that fan base since 09-10. Ross Lyon, he brings that. And he brought it straight off the bat this season, which I didn't expect, I'll be honest. I didn't expect us to do what we did. I don't think a lot of Saints fans expected us to do what we did, but that just made the ride even more fun. And the longer the season went on, the more it was a bit of a free hit. The expectations dropped because we'd clearly exceeded expectations. So anything extra, anything past that point, was a big bonus. And the fact that we got to see the boys play a final at the MCG in front of nearly 70,000 against a team that was 2 points away from securing a spot in this year's grand final in GWS. Not bad, Sainers. Not bad at all. So my positives for the season, I don't know how long this video is going to go, but I just thought I'd put the camera on and I just talk about it straight from the heart, straight from, and my brain, I suppose. I should probably use that. I'll just give you really what I thought of the season, straight off the bat. Nothing scripted, none of that, just straight to the camera. Positives. We defied expectation. I love that. That's me to a T. That's my personality. I love, when people say, yeah, Jake, you can't do that. Your club can't do that. This and that. And I'm like, why not? Why not? We've seen other clubs do it. We've seen other players do that. Why can't we do that? And we did it. The next step is to go a bit further, but obviously this is the first step in our development and we'll hopefully go there in the future years. But for this year, we defied all expectations. You can't argue that. You can't argue that at all. No one thought we'd make top 8. We did. So that's job done there. Another positive is the youngsters that we've blooded. I've never seen a crop of youngsters like this since, like I said earlier, early 2000s. We've got Nasai Wanganeen-Malera, who was incredible this season. Mitch Owens, who was incredible this season. Anthony Caminiti, who played a vital role when we were missing all of our forwards. Marcus Windhager, who had a bit of an up and down start to the season, but finished like a house on fire off half back and on the wing and was excellent. Filippo played every single game as the youngest player in the competition. Kicked some vital goals for us, was good for 10 and a goal every single week. Not bad for an 18, 19-year-old. Who else am I missing? I feel like I'm missing a few others. But, there's so many good youngsters coming through that it just makes me so bullish for the future because they're only going to get better, and I feel like our draft hand has been really good in the last couple of seasons. We've really set ourselves up for the future based on the youth. Another positive is seeing gun players get even better. Jack Sinclair going up a level. Cal Wilkie, incredible, all-Australian fullback. I think the first in St Kilda's history. Kudos to him. I think he's a future captain of the football club, so we're in very good hands. A positive that I guess is a negative, but I'll flip it around. The fact that we could cover our injuries as well as we did for as long as we did. I don't think there was ever really a game where I looked at it and I thought, we lost that because we didn't have a certain player, because we had injuries. I think the Melbourne game was unique because we got injuries in the game, but going into every other game, missing a King or a Membry or a Steele at times, whoever it might have been, we covered them, we performed, we got through it. The fact that we started the season at, I think, 6-1, the first 7 weeks was incredible because we didn't have King, we didn't have Membry really. We've got all these new players coming through that had never really played AFL together before, and we got through it. So that was a big tick for me. Another big tick, the fan base. The fact that it was a real focus for the channel, but also for the club. And, the Geelong game, where we needed to really win to secure finals, to knock them out. Go and re-watch that game. Listen to the chants, listen to the crowd, the noise. I've never heard Marvel Stadium rock like that in a long time, since we were making grand finals, basically. So, the fan base, incredible. RSEA Park, buzzing every training session that I was there. I've been to AFLW last week, that was buzzing. There'll be many more people there today. There's just a really, really great vibe around the club. Men's, women's, overall, it's amazing. It's a great time to be a St Kilda supporter, and it's really showing when you go to games, People are excited, they're smiling, they're happy. I think that's the biggest thing to come from this. And the fact that it was our 150th year, that's a positive in itself, that we had such a good year in such a milestone year. When generally, as a club, we're not great with milestones, let's face it. But the fact that we had a 150th year, the 150th year anniversary game against the Bombers in round 3, huge highlight for me. To see 70,000 at the MCG, to have a game where we started on fire, as good a football as you'll see this season, and then to be challenged, and then that last 10 minutes where we go up a gear, and then kick the last 5 and seal the game was just amazing. And to finish that, that round on top of the ladder was huge. And speaking of that, another positive, finishing the season as one of only 3 teams, I believe, with Collingwood and Melbourne being the other 2, to be in the top 8 for every single round of the season. It's just little boxes like that we started to tick that I'm like, something's brewing, Not every club did that, only 3. We were one of them. So it's a really, really good time to be a St Kilda supporter. Obviously, we've got a lot of work to do in the off-season. There's going to be players that go, there's going to be players that come in, but we're ticking all these little boxes. And then another one, the number 1 defence in the competition, in the home and away season. That's huge. With the likes of Cal Wilkie, Josh Battle, Dougal Howard, Zane Cordy going back there, Liam Stocker, Nasai Wanganeen-Malera, Jimmy Webster, Jack Sinclair off halfback. I don't know if I'm missing anyone else there, sorry if I am, but they all played a role this season in being the number 1 defensive unit in the competition. And there are some very, very good defensive units in the competition. Melbourne with May and Lever, if you don't mind. Collingwood, Howe, Darcy Moore, Maynard. There's some very... Brisbane with Harris Andrews and Payne. There's some very, very good defences there, and we ranked 1. I loved that because I feel like now we'll flip on to maybe things that we need to get better at and the negatives and improvements. We've got the defence right, but it's now about the forward half and what we can do there. We need to get that right. We need to learn to kick more goals. We need to kick bigger scores to be a chance. You look at Collingwood and Brisbane, two of the highest scoring teams in the competition, also got pretty solid defences. I think they're top 8 for both, and that's what people say. To be a chance to win the flag, you need to be top 8, top 4 attack defence. We were number 1 for defence. I think we're number 14 or 15 for goals for. So that's the improvement side coming in. We've got the defence right. We keep teams to a low score, but we need to learn to kick goals now. If we keep teams to 60 to 70 points per game, we need to learn how to kick 90, 100. That's how you become a top team. We still were hovering around that 60 to 70 point mark, so we're keeping them low, but the games are still tight, which is another good sign, I guess, if you flip back to positives. We only lost one game this season by over 29 points, and that was to Adelaide, in Adelaide Oval, who were very good there all season. So the fact that we learned to not get blown out of the water, that's obviously a testament to our defence, but also our midfield, and just our general attitude in games where there were games that looked like they were going to blow out, and we found a way back. But for me, the number one improvement needs to be moving forward of centre and how to kick more goals. And I don't think we need to get players really in to be in the forward half. I think we've got the tools there to make it work. It's just the way we operate in the forward half that needs to improve. And that goes with the midfield as well. Another big improvement this season needs to be, in this off-season, needs to be the midfield. Midfield was going at 70% for the majority of the season, I would say. There weren't many games where we were going, we were firing on all cylinders. There were a couple of games, but generally it was, maybe just a one-player game. Brad Crouch had a blinder, or Steele, like in the final, had a huge game. But they never really collectively got going. Rowan Marshall, to me, he's another midfielder, so big tick there. Our ruckman should have been All-Australian. Awesome season, but we need more support in there for him and more support in there for players like Jack Steele and Brad Crouch, because they can't do it all. And Brad Crouch and Jack Steele are too similar, so we need a bit more speed in there. I think game day management was definitely a big improvement. I don't think we need to worry about our coaching structure. It's one of the best in the competition with Ross Lyon, Robert Harvey, Lenny Hayes, Brendan Goddard, Corey Enright. It's one of the best up there. There's, multiple premierships, all Australians. There's Hall of Famers in there. It's crazy. So over 1,000 AFL games experience in there, well over. We've got a very, very good structure off the field, which is really, really important. That creates stability. In terms of other negatives, I don't know. It's hard to really think because, I thought we really just did the best that we could with what we had, and that's what people say. But I think our list is better than what people give it credit for. I think there's a lot more talent there than people realise, because not a lot of, non-Saints supporters really take the time to watch Saints games, and, the fact that people still, throughout the season, didn't really realise how good Rowan Marshall was until maybe he came up against their team. That says it all, Everyone was talking about Tim English, and fair enough, he was good too. He made the All-Australian ruck position. But Rowan Marshall, to me, was on par or better. So, in every line, we had some really, really important players. I think, obviously, a negative was missing, Tim Membry, Max King for a lot of the season. Obviously, the final, that was a negative, and that such a big build up to that game, but we know there were circumstances around that, so let's not go into that. But we understand that maybe we couldn't really give it the full 100% like we really wanted to, but the boys still fought twice in that game to really fight back, which was just amazing to watch, just to see us try and will ourselves into the game, even if maybe it was never going to eventuate into the win. But they still tried, they still gave us hope. And I think every week, that's all they could do. And it's been a long time since I really felt that way, that, the club's given me hope, the club's given the fans hope. But this is just the start. So as much as this has been a really, really exciting season, as much as I've been so proud to watch the boys, it's the first stage in the development into becoming a contender. We all want to be where Brisbane and Collingwood are now. We want to be at that level next season and the year after that. So whatever we do in the off season is going to be really, really important. I'm really trusting in what we're going to do. I know there are some weird rumours circulating, and we've had players nominate us already and everything, but I think every decision that Ross Lyon and the board are going to make moving forward is really firmly on becoming a powerhouse, which I think we can. We can do that. You know, the fact that we nearly filled the G, 70,000 against the Giants, incredible. Collingwood got 97, I think. We got 70. Not bad. And that was in a prelim. This is just an elimination final on a Saturday arvo, and we're not the biggest club in the land. So not a bad effort, Saners. Like, be proud. We turned up, we made noise, and I think it's only the beginning of an amazing season. You know, my highlight was the Geelong game. I can't lie. Like, my most hated team, beating them, ending their season, basically securing our finals berth was unreal. In the next 24 hours after that, the Doggies lose to West Coast, I think, and like, unreal. Like, that whole weekend was crazy. And then the build-up to the final was another highlight. The belief that was building in that time obviously didn't eventuate, but that build-up was so exciting, and I know every Saints fan would be feeling the same way. The fact that we could walk to the MCG on that day with all the Saints fans, all Saints fans, you know, you don't see a Giants fan around. It's just 100% red, white and black. Best feeling ever. The Bentley Social, round 24 against Brizzy, where everyone just rocked up. You know, we sold the place out, and Joycey gave a really nice speech, and you could just really feel the energy in the room about what the club is all about and what the fans and us on this channel are all about. Was amazing. And I think, you know, the unheralded, you know, players that just performed week in, week out, you know, the Mason Woods that just started the year on fire, the Liam Stocker come straight in and basically just entrench himself in Saints culture, being a cult hero basically, flying the flag for his teammates every week. Kingy having some highlights here and there. You know, he didn't get the full season like we would have hoped, but he still, you know, showed us what he can really do at times. And you know, there were just some, the win in Sydney, like, that was a big drought breaker against the Swans on, I think it was a Thursday night. And we were challenged, we were down by about 20 points in the second quarter, and then we rallied. King kicks 2 or 3. The last quarter was just intense, and we got over the line, and you thought, wow, like, can't believe we just did that, you know? You're so used to going to places and getting battered, and we didn't, you know? Too many highlights, to be honest, Saners. Like, I'm so content with what we did this season. And then you look at the teams that have made the prelims and the grannies, and you're like, I don't think we're that far off. You know? Carlton really pushed Brisbane yesterday. Credit to them. They had a great final series. I don't think we're far off that. They probably have a few more stars than us, but I think as a team, you know, if you build that foundation first, we can then find those diamonds in the rough. We can then find those stars to really take us to the promised land that we want to get to. So for me, 2023 was a huge success, you know, an absolute huge success. I don't think any Saints fan could watch this video and think, Jakey, come on, you're delirious. That was a failure. Like, I'm sure there will be some Sainers out there. There's always a few negative Nancys out there, but overall, if you had told me at the start of the season we'd play a final in Melbourne against a team that was maybe 2 points or a bit stiff to not make the granny, and we'd finish 6th, we'd win 13 games, I think, off the back of 10 or 11 the year before. We'd only lose one game by over 30 points. I'd say, hell yeah, I'm taking that. And I could have guessed it would have been the Adelaide one. We always get flogged there for some reason. But the next step, I think, next year is to compete against the top 4. I don't think we beat anyone in the top 4. We didn't beat Collingwood, we didn't beat Brisbane, we didn't beat Port, we didn't beat Melbourne. So that's the next step. You know, that we were 6th, and that's fair. I think we were the 6th best team all season. We didn't drop below 6 really all season, and we didn't beat anyone in the top 4, and we split 1 win, 1 loss with 5th in Carlton. So I think we finished exactly where we deserved to finish, but now we know where we need to go to. We know what's next. So I'll leave it there, saying as that's my season review. I know I could get into some more intricate sort of details, but I just really, as a fan, just wanted to sit back. I need to get like a nice lounge chair, you know, like a glass of wine, a nice lounge chair, and get a candle like lit up in the corner there, and just sit back and chat about the year. But I'm really content as a Saints fan. I hope you are too. I'll leave it open to you guys. I'm not going to try and list every positive and negative and cover all that, because that's on you too. Put it in the comments. What was your biggest highlight of the season? What was your biggest low light of the season? And I guess what's next for the club for you? What do we need to do? What's the one thing that you want to see us do in the next 6 months to get us primed for a real push for that top 4 next season? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Put them in the comments. Let's create a discussion and just keep pumping up Saints footy, because I think we're on the right track, and the only way is really up, I see, which is really, really exciting. I'm just really bullish about what this club's doing, and yeah, haven't felt this way in a long time. So I'll wrap it up there, Sainers. Thank you very much for watching. Please like the video, comment your thoughts as I mentioned, and most importantly, subscribe. Let's get to 8 or 9K. I'd love to hit 10K before, you know, round 1 next season. That'd be unreal. And yeah, I'll be back for future videos. Don't worry, I know I was a bit slow this week, but yeah, got to take some time. A few things happening on the personal side, so we'll sort that out, and then I'll be back for some more content very, very soon. So yeah, thanks for watching, Sainers, and as always, go you mighty Sainers. See you soon, guys.